"You have no idea who you're messing with," Natalie hissed as the cold handcuffs clicked shut behind her back. Her white dress shimmered under the flashing lights of the black Dodge Charger Interceptor parked behind them, its red and blue strobes bathing the empty road in chaos. The officer, gripping her arms, scoffed and shoved her forward. "Yeah, and I guess you're the president's daughter too, huh?" he muttered. On the other side of the hood, her sister Alina stood in a navy blue cocktail dress, her chin raised in defiance as a second officer tightened the cuffs on her wrists. "You're making a mistake. A massive one," she warned. "When your captain hears about this, you'll regret it." The two U.S. officers exchanged smug glances, convinced they'd stopped a couple of entitled party girls who had pushed their luck too far. There was no backup, no news crews, no witnesses, just two well-dressed women on a dark road and two cops eager to play heroes. But what they didn't know was that in the last 6 minutes, they had just dismantled a federal operation that had taken 5 years to set in motion. Just 20 minutes earlier, Natalie and Alina sat in the back of a discreet black SUV parked on a hill overlooking a quiet estate. On the screen in front of them were encrypted data, names, faces, offshore accounts, and locations. This was the final handoff. After years undercover, after near-death extractions and a dozen false identities, tonight was supposed to be the last move. Natalie had operated inside a high-level human trafficking ring for years. Alina was her handler turned field agent. The information they carried could bring down billionaires, officials, even senators. But as they began their descent down the hill, the Charger appeared. No siren at first, just the blinding lights, then a sudden order over the loudspeaker. "Step out of the vehicle, hands where we can see." Them. They didn't run, they couldn't. That would blow everything. But the moment those cuffs clicked, Natalie knew something was wrong. This stop wasn't random, it was too fast, too perfectly timed. The operation had been compromised. Back in the present, one officer popped the trunk and whistled. "Looks like we've got ourselves some interesting toys tonight," he said, pulling out a black case and a USB drive. "Espionage," he joked. The second officer leaned in close to Alina, his expression darkening. "What's your game, sweetheart?" Alina didn't blink. "Saving lives. What's yours?" she shot back. The officer rolled his eyes and turned away. Then Natalie raised her hands slightly, just enough to draw attention. "You want answers," she said. "Check your comms." The officer hesitated. "What?" "Now, before it's too late." The radio crackled as he tapped it, expecting silence, until a burst of static shattered the air, followed by a frantic voice. "Unit 3, disengage immediately. Do not detain those women. Repeat, high-value federal assets. Abort, stand down." Time froze. The officers paled. The cuffs suddenly felt radioactive. Natalie stepped forward slowly. "We warned you." Alina's hands were freed within seconds, and the smugness drained from the officers' faces like water down a drain. "You're not criminals," one of them asked weakly. Natalie's expression turned stone cold. "We're the reason monsters sleep with one eye open." What followed next was chaos in reverse. The women, previously restrained, were now in control. Natalie picked up the confiscated drive and checked the timer, less than 4 minutes before it wiped itself. "Your mistake just cost us our lead," she muttered. "And they're already watching us now." The second officer stammered. "What do we do?" Alina stepped in, her voice sharp as glass. "You do nothing. You forget you saw us. You never speak of this. And if you ever want to keep that badge, pray we finish what we started." A black SUV rolled up silently, headlights off. No logos, no plates, just an open door waiting. Without another word, Natalie and Alina climbed in and vanished into the night. The officers stood alone in the flashing lights, holding their radios like lifelines, their hands still trembling. 3 hours later, a private compound was raided by federal agents. A massive underground ring was exposed. Politicians, tech CEOs, even former law enforcement, names no one dared touch were plastered across headlines. The flash drive had made it, but no one mentioned who delivered it. No one saw the women in the dresses again. Only the two officers remembered. Only they knew how close they came to ruining everything, and only they would carry the weight of that moment for the rest of their careers. Every time they heard of a bust, every time they watched the news and saw another untouchable fall, They'd wonder if it was Natalie and Alina, and they'd remember the warning. Sometimes the ones you try to stop are the very ones sent to save you.